Hi folks, this is Gabor from GaborSpeaks.com, and I want to promote my first podcast or the first episode of my podcast while sitting here in the temple. That is a new co-working place. There is the lovely Carolina sitting in the background. She is the one who is organizing everything here just to make sure that everybody has an amazing time at the temple. But what is the podcast about? The podcast of Gabor Speaks. Well, I have this idea to actually talk about all the topics that people don't talk about, or to shed a different light on the topics that we are actually used to. The first partner that I had for a conversation, for a discussion, is actually my childhood friend, Mihály Szabó, who is now a diplomat. And as a diplomat, he has a really wide scope, a wide look at how the world works. And we are talking about a lot of things in the podcast. And in this small detail, about 8 minutes, 7.5 minutes of short detail of the podcast, we are talking about what is the most imminent problem of the world that everybody actually should focus on, but are not focusing right now. So hey, please join the conversation, leave a comment, and check for more episodes that are coming on later. Hi, this is Gabor Speaks from GaborSpeaks.com. And I want to ask first your opinion that there are of course popular topics that are in the media. You can mention a lot. But what do you think that is the most important from the topics that are mentioned, or maybe from the topics that are not mentioned? So what is it that you think the world should focus on at the moment?
Well, right now I feel a huge problem that you can read in the media everywhere about the coronavirus and the pandemic, because of course it's an important thing about the elements of the world not really disappeared. Just they don't get enough focus in the media. So the media doesn't highlight anymore a lot of very important problems all around the globe, because the pandemic just simply has too much weight in the public speech. Everybody's speaking about this, not just the politicians, but also the daily people everywhere, because of course it had a huge impact of the life to everyone. But still, there are very, very serious other problems, what we don't talk about at all. And I think it's a very, very huge problem. I'm not sure that now the pandemic and the whole restrictions and lockdowns started to ease Europe. So hopefully it's going to be better now this year or in the end of this year, but it's not sure. I still can't really see that even with the ease of the restrictions that anything would change. So even now, if you check, the mainstream media, is still everything about the pandemic. Even though in the UK or in many European countries, there are no lockdowns anymore, and still this is the topic. What's happening in India related to the virus, and in China, whatever.
So. Okay. So I do want to talk about the coronavirus, but then I want to ask you first. So if not the coronavirus, then what are the topics, or what is the topic that we should really talk about at the moment? What do you think?
Well, if we are talking about the forthcoming challenges, then of course related to the coronavirus partly, there are also an economic crisis, what we should need to face off. And the problem with, I think, in the near future, what we're facing off, and it is actually accelerated by the coronavirus a lot, is the automatization and the robotization. So basically the unemployment rate and all kinds of problems which relate to the unemployment. So like social tensions.
Can you give us some numbers? Like why is it so grave, this problem? What are the numbers more or less?
The numbers, it really depends on the country. So what is interesting that basically this has a bigger effect right now in the developed countries at the moment, because basically the classic industrial labor, it seems that's going to disappear and it's going to be fully automatic in the near future by robots. So for example, in the automotive industry, it's going to happen very, very quickly, and it's going to cause a lot of problems in many countries and in many fields. So basically, we will have a mass of people what we can't really put to anywhere for a while if we won't prepare for this. We should need to prepare for this challenge, because nowadays it's not so easy, to retrain these people, or just to send them again to the school, or to study some new job or any like this, or new skills. There's reskilling, or how I say, is very, very complicated nowadays. It's not possible to do it, within don't know, few months or something, or not even with a few years, a lot of times. And I don't really see that any of the states would really prepare for this.
Mm-hmm. So then, because the usual argument against what you say is that we have experienced this before, that a lot of people lost their livelihood, for example, during the industrial revolutions, and they could always go into a different field. Like, for example, when agriculture became less work intensive, then all the people just moved to the industry. So this might happen today. This is what people say who oppose the idea that automation is going to be really problematic in the world. So what do you think?
Yeah, I read these arguments as well everywhere, and of course that part is true of this argument, that the automatization is going to create new jobs as well, and there will be a lot of new jobs what we never had before. So like in the AI, the technology, or the automatization and the robotic developments, of course there will be new jobs. But the problem is that as I told before, like the reskilling and the current skills of the people are not really fit to these new jobs. So what you mentioned, that was possible. So when we had an agricultural society and we had people who made some kind of manual labor, in the field, then these people could go to the factory and keep going to do the manual labor, just within the factory, so not in the field. But now, it's completely different. So even after the Industrial Revolution, nowadays in the modern countries, it was still possible to reskill and retrain the people from the factories and send them to the Walmart, and they could be a cashier or something. But from a Walmart cashier, you can't really train easily an AI specialist. So it's not like that the Walmart cashier is going to do to the Google or something and going to develop, I don't know, like automatic defense systems or whatever. So it's not like this. So it's completely different, and that's what a lot of people are mistaken. And also even the politicians and decision makers, and that's why we can see that anything would happen. Of course, in the universities and some of these companies are preparing in some level, but it's not enough. So this is a very important topic where actually the state should need to get involved and need to prepare for this scenario, because we are talking about a lot of people. So it's absolutely that kind of problem which has a serious impact in the world society in many countries.